How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Valoramen Cup #1, brought to you by Valoramen and Houserivalries. I am Dak here alongside Beatdown, bringing you the second and final series of day 2, where we have a lower bracket matchup between Du Bois and Wichita Wolves. Beatdown, you ready to get into this one?
I absolutely am, Rapture. Here we are in the losers quarterfinals as we're really starting to work our way towards the latter half of the Valoramen Cup playoffs. And we were talking about it just before going live. But there's a couple of reasons why this particular match is quite important. Both of these teams are playing for some of that green, that cash money. That's right, because if you win this match, if you're the boys or the Wichita Wolves, you guarantee yourself a fourth place spot, which guarantees some of that cash flow.
Yeah, a lot on the line, some money, some positioning, and later in the playoff brackets. So certainly neither of these teams want to be losing here. Of course, they're in the lower bracket, so they can't. Once they do,
Right.
they will be eliminated. Our first map will be Bind and Beatdown. We know how that map selection breakdown went. How'd it go?
So I believe it was Wichita Wolves who banned us. Nah, it was close. It was the boys who banned Ascent right away, and then Wichita Wolves respond with Split. Makes a lot of sense, especially because Split is just a terrible map to play, so just get it out of the pool. Ascent is interesting. We talked about it yesterday on our cast, actually, how vastly important control over that mid area around the courtyard is. Maybe that's just something the boys are not interested in dealing with because we saw the struggles of attack mode when they were not able to actually hold on to that part of the map and how rough Ascent was for them as a result.
Absolutely. So, as far as we know, they won't have to worry about it. If it goes to only 2 maps, we go into Bind and then Haven for the second one. And yeah, both of these teams, I guess, just avoiding having to cover more territory on Ascent. But for these two teams, they definitely have a lot to prove, especially against the upper echelon of players and teams if they want to make it that far. Of course, if you're just joining us, you missed out on the previous set where last round save took a decisive 2-0 victory over Elevate, and we're looking absolutely by far the most strongest team in the league at the moment, and certainly have been. So they're the favorites to win this. Can either of these teams make the run? Because they not only just defeat their opponents here, they have to make it look like they're contenders to actually win this and be in the top 4. So there's a lot to prove for both of these two teams.
And that's kind of the thing with both of these teams because they do, especially in the case of Wichita Wolves, both of these teams lost to some very strong contenders in this playoff bracket. And maybe it wasn't necessarily the likes of Last Round Save, who, in my opinion, I still think Elevate actually have a really good shot in the finals, but that's a story for another time. Both of these teams definitely do have to step it up quite a few notches if they are actually going to want to be able to contend for that first place spot at the very end of the tournament here. We've seen the play from both the boys and Wichita Wolves, and so far, it's not bad. Both pretty solid teams here, but if you were all watching that last game, you know not bad's not good enough because the likes of Elevate on a really good day and the likes of Last Round Save, anytime they have their computers on, you they are a force to be reckoned with. And I guess we're going to see today if either one of these teams is ready to step it up to face them later on into the rest of the bracket here.
And of course, we have another lower bracket match happening at the same time here. The fate will be decided of Attack Mode and RBG Esports, which is happening off stream at the moment right now. So we'll be finding out the winners of these two sets tonight and see who will be moving on to that lower bracket semifinal matchup tomorrow on day 3. So Attack Mode and RBG, I think that's also up in the air as well. But we're going to be here for Wichita and Du Bois. And Wichita, they did take out last round save for I feel like they are the ones right now they're going to take the whole competition. But Wichita was, up against last round save in their first playoff matchup. So
That's
I mean,
true.
that's not a bad loss whatsoever. They're the strongest team in the league. So it's really hard to base like how Wichita will be faring coming into this game based on that last set, because I feel like most teams would have been in that same position against last round save. I think they would have, been a really tough battle that Wichita Wolves aren't alone in losing in most situations.
Of
I think
course.
really Elevate's probably the only team that could stand up to them. And even then they had a lot of trouble in that previous set. So I think both these teams, they still don't think have shown their hand entirely. They really haven't, you know, they still have an opportunity here to stay alive, of course. And I don't think Wichita Wolves is out of it necessarily just because we saw them lose hard to last round save.
And there you have it as we go into this losers quarterfinals. Any ace up the sleeve that either of these teams have is going to come out now, needs to come out now. And that is a good point. Wichita Wolves, pretty much one of the only teams between these two that have played last round save very recently. We have that bit of comparison just to see how well they performed. And you're right that some of them, they actually performed better than Elevate did today at the very least. So that does look pretty good for them going into the series. So now, round one, Spike rush planted onto A, and the Wichita Wolves are already going to have to try and retake.
Oh, Super Turbo finds Kaiser immediately there, and now going to be following in this drone, gets some shots in on the left in the breach, but it's Panda Tank who cleans it up. And now a 5-on-2 situation, retake comes through very cleanly here, and Wichita is up with only one body going down. They'll take that first round and be able to get the defuse. And that started off with FYG not really giving their position whatsoever, waiting in heaven, and then the entire team collapsing on the entirety of this red squad Du Bois as they kind of held on site a bit too long after the plant.
And it was really impressive. Super Turbo getting that early pick off there basically was the green light for the rest of Wichita Wolves. They know they can rush in and basically go blow for that point, over trade for trade, life for life, and they know they would come out on top in the end. Didn't even have to go that far as they made it look easy. And in doing so, they give themselves a really good advantage going into this round as well. We're already seeing some of the cheesy strats coming out here. The Ares is in play. Outside of that, pretty standard second round buys here. You got the likes of the Spectre. Some people, like Zekin, just going to hold on to that Ghost.
On the defense side, Wichita did switch things up just a little bit. FYG now on B site. And very obviously, the offense is completely slowed down as opposed to their pistol round. They are still low on buys as they didn't win that round. So they're going to have to kind of see what kind of territory they can get with very little firepower. But they really aren't inching out whatsoever. You can see the bomb stack sitting out over and just outside Wishbone there, just sitting in the connector outside short, waiting likely for the defense to push up themselves.
Now, this is a lot of patience coming out from Du Bois here. I think what they really want to do is bait, make them think that the plant is going to be on B side, try to get the rotation out of Wichita Wolves defense, but it's looking like they are not biting. And Zekin, first blood. Oh, make that second, maybe even third. He's going to get that very easily off of fantastic paranoia. And I mean, the round's as good as done. Spike down. Rest of the boys.
30 seconds
on the other
left.
side of the map.
That's a pretty simple read from Wichita. Once a little noise was made towards B, they had to stay alert on A site as well because no one had committed from the offense just yet. Illume just following up on FYG, who had their back turned entirely to that raid.
10
so
seconds
B
left.
site is still entirely open here. The bomb is down out outside A. Spike that is Zekin on their fourth. Just as time runs out, might get the ace. Might just slip through their fingers. They're trying to go for it. Time runs out. Panda Tank, though, will confirm the kill. 2-0 now for Wichita. And even on the slower offense, the little bit of a bait, trying to make some noise outside of B and then sending the rest of the team towards A. Wichita was ready for it. They knew exactly what to find. And all they needed was Zekin to just put a few rounds in a few skulls.
Yeah, although a little salty that he did not get himself the ace. I know I would be. He definitely can't be upset about the round you just had. Very, very good defense there. Not falling for the bait of Du Bois either from the side of Wichita Wolves. And this just puts them in even much better position here. And I like how far they've pushed out on this defense on the 8 site. Now they know that there's fine that it could be a push, and they actually aggress onto him. So that's going to be the first kill. But they kind of give away their position here. That actually opens up A site very widely.
That was the pretty smart play, I would say, there from Wichita. Being aggressive through showers, knowing that at least in the last part of that last round, the only thing that really worked out for Du Bois was that push through short, which is what they did again to get onto the site this time. But now you can see all 3 directions being held here by this Wichita squad. They've got bats, they've got ace short, and they've got spawn connector. Here comes Panda Tanks and be pushing up. Doesn't give themselves away just yet, looking for another kill, but instead just goes and confirms on Blue Bear. A bunch of trades on either side, but it's just the Rays Illume by themselves remaining for the offense. And now one-on-one, here comes the ult showstopper. It's gonna go right to the left of Jangler and confirms the kill. And that spike not only gets planted, it gets protected and around on the board for the boys.
And it's honestly pretty impressive for the boys. Despite the aggro defense catching most teams off surprise, the boys immediately push on the A through short and end up answering back, punishing that over-aggression from Wichita Wolves. So despite being around that they couldn't really participate in financially, they end up sneaking the win off a really clutch showstopper. And now as a result, you can see they can pull out the big boy buys, they can pull out a real offense, and I'm really curious to see how they're going to break it down.
Yeah, Wichita just have to be careful of, not putting themselves in situations where they can't trade off one another, which is what happened towards the end of that round. Not only in how they split up, but even in the last 2v1 situation, couldn't trade off of each other. Super Turbo gonna go out, burn that, run it back to get some information. Now they've seen a bunch of bodies are outside of A main, so they can start to shift members over towards B a little bit. You can see their Jet is now going in towards Elbow to join their Phoenix, while the Spike is still sitting outside A short. And this is really where the boys have felt the most comfortable, is lingering outside A short, getting information, and then making a move from there.
Oh, with less than a minute left now, you gotta imagine they're about ready to make a decision here. And I like the delayed Owl Drone, just to see if there ends up being a big push onto B side. But again, the information isn't quite there for Wichita Wolves. I think they're starting to get the idea that it is an A play. Zekin with the Hunter's Fury is going to mark 2. Can he actually get it? He gets 1. Jangler in the background picks up another as well. The boys' offense already falling apart.
And Wichita, again, very textbook there, just letting the offense step up onto the site and then burning their Hunter's Fury. It's guaranteed to get kills and chip damage. And then once that Hunter's Fury came out, everything fell apart for the boys. They're already funneled themselves into A short, so they back up, and they might get caught trying to run away from the Hunter's Fury, or they force themselves onto the site or into labs, and they force fights that they might not be able to take because they're already being held by Wichita. So that's just really solid conditioning coming out from the Wolves squad here. And giving up A site again has worked out to their advantage, so we might see a little bit of a change-up, but if it ain't broke, why fix it? And you can see again their defense only putting 2 players on this A site. They're going to give most of this room to Du Bois, who are going to take it likely, as they are again in A short, and we'll see how Wichita collapses on them this time.
And the thing I'm most curious about is you think by now the Du Bois would try something a little bit different, but it's looking like the same strat with more bodies on the play. And this time around, they do end up getting the spike down. Actually, I take it back. Keyser dies because he faked it looks like. And now all of a sudden the spike is down on A side. Du Bois don't really have a leg to stand on here, and they're just kind of afraid to step out. They have some time, but they got to make something happen here. But before it's too late, because Wichita Wolves are rotating most of their defense around too.
You can really see by how they're positioned that this Wichita squad relies a lot and trusts Zekin very much to hold the site on their own for the beginning part of the round and guarantee at least 1 or 2 kills before they die, if they die. And already, I mean, Zekin by themselves stopped the push onto A site. Now we're trying for an attempt through Hookah, and it just goes down without even barely getting close to the container. Zekin gets the final kill, gets those, crosses those T's and dots those I's on that round. And yeah, you can see how much faith this Wichita squad has on Zekin to not only get information at the beginning of the round on A site, but guarantee a kill or 2. And that just completely stops the boys right in their tracks. I mean, once they've lost a player, they don't continue through, they don't start throwing utility, they back up, they wait, they hesitate. And that gives Wichita an opportunity to rotate, to gather their players in position and take advantage of that the player advantage they just got themselves on those initial peaks. So losing the entry fragger so far for Du Bois has been debilitating as we move into this pause. Not sure what the reason is, but at least right now it might be icing things a bit for Wichita, who at the moment seem very comfortable.
And it could be a tactical pause as that is allowed here in this tournament. And maybe it is something the boys would want to do right now because it does seem like everything they try, even though it has been quite linear, isn't working for them at the moment. Pause has finished, so hopefully they do manage to kind of relax a little bit, maybe talk about trying something different. And it looks like that will be the case here as it's going to be a B play. But again, we see the boys have everyone on the same side of the map here. They're not interested in baiting. They want to try and get a pick and overwhelm with sheer numbers here. It hasn't worked before, but maybe this time they can get it right on B site.
Loom just spraying and praying inside hookah. Meanwhile, a bunch of trading in, housing and guarding. Zekin finds Bosky. And as they go through the teleporter, that of course means that the boys have to respect this, and they find their team split up here. The Razes and Hookah, their breach is all the way in towards long.
Wait.
And they have 2 players in mid, and Zek and
Spike's
are still
TP.
waiting on the spike. Yeah, they don't have access to the spike whatsoever, so not only they split up, they don't have the spike, they have to go through the TP to get any kind of plant down.
And you can see the rotation from the Wichita Wolves. They know this, so the 3 remaining members are just camping the teleporter, and you're stuck if you're the boys. They're not sure what to do here. They're gonna have to take not 1 gunfight, but 2. It is unbelievable.
30 seconds
The
left.
situation they ended up finding themselves in. It's Super Turbo. Getting Keezer out of the fight means this is gonna be borderline impossible now. The Wichita Wolves are just stacking themselves in the teleporter.
Yeah, this is... I wouldn't go as far as to say BM, but I might as well have more eyes on the spike. This is so many
10
bodies to
seconds
be
left.
staying alive here in this round. So at least you can say for the boys that they've held on to a bunch of their rifles here. They're going to see if they get... No, they're not even going to go for any sort of push onto it. They're not going to risk it. They want to hold on to any kind of guns they have. Their economy is in the gutter right now. But they lose another round to Wichita, who are stacked with cash. They're almost at their limit. They just spent to stay below it, really. And the boys, I mean, they had to keep those rifles and their armor as well. So they're actually that was not too bad of a round for them economically. But otherwise, they are just falling behind round after round.
And after a round like that, it's definitely a good call to save from the boys. So at least they are going to go into this round with some decent loadouts here. But again, strategically, we need a change. It's looking like we are going to see that now, as we have quite literally both halves of the team on opposite ends of the map. Though Fig gets first blood on the Blue Bear. This is already tough. He gets hit by the spy cam there, but I mean, there isn't a whole lot they can really do about it. The spike is just sitting outside B short. No one from Wichita even needs to roam. And I'm a little surprised that they aren't going for something like that, especially with how confident that they've been playing on these defenses. But I mean, the last couple of rounds, you just have to let the boys walk into you. I guess they just don't feel like they have to.
I mean, honestly, the boys have been so unsuccessful pushing through A short that now, I mean, it's almost like Wichita knows that, yeah, they can keep some eyes on it, but they shouldn't be really expecting too much through A short now. And in fact, you can see, yeah, Jangler's hanging out. They only have Zekin watching that. They just, you can see how much they'll rely on these 2 players to hold an entire site. Illume's going to blast pack their way out and gets caught on a corner right outside showers and dies for it. Zekin also finds house. The A short pushes, I really feel like if they wanted to make it through, at least for the boys, they got to use some kind of utility rather than just swinging, because those angles are being held by Wichita the entire time, and the rest of the team kind of faltering, looking for a way in towards B. It takes too long for them to do so, and then Wichita just wins the gunfights. They're so far outplaying them on the trigger, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So right now, Wichita is running away with it. They have so much money to work with, whereas for Du Bois, it is looking horrible. Everybody at 1,300 credits or less to work with in these coming rounds, and there's still 5 more rounds to go in this half. So I mean, this is right now, I would say, Wichita's game to lose.
And I like that phrase you used there, getting beaten on the trigger, I believe you said, and that is the biggest problem for the boys. Blue Bear getting first blood. I think it's the first time the boys have actually managed to grab first blood. They keep losing out on these entries, and no matter how good your strategies are, you can't win those duels. Kind of like we're seeing right now as well. There isn't a whole lot you can do to end up winning these rounds here. Figs is gonna pick up another kill, no problem, and they gotta go in on that second flash, right? And their ult death is gonna come through. Oh,
I,
2 for 1.
I would say that neural theft was probably less than necessary there, but Wichita feels more than confident being able to pop ultimates like that. So, I mean, I don't really blame them necessarily. FYG has been already playing pretty aggressive, so to throw down that Neuralink to try and chain some more kills together, certainly not out of the question, but the spike does get planted towards B, and both members of the boys are holding an elbow, so they've given up a sight line going on to Hookah, and they're really looking for spawn towards A long as well, so or B long as well, so they're able to push up through Hookah, and no one from Du Bois is watching it, so they're going to be able to get some sight lines onto the site and now get onto the site itself. And not only that, Du Bois, both players can't trade off of each other. So Jangler gets the kill, and now House doesn't find Zekin, but it's Jangler gets the other one. So it just came down to 1v1s that Du Bois, had they just stuck together and not pushed towards elbow, it might have been a different future for them. But instead, another round. I want to say it's 3 or 4 unanswered at this point, coming into this next one. But yeah, it's 5 unanswered rounds now for this Wichita Wolves squad. They're in absolute control right now, Beatdown.
That they are, and it is rough to say the least. And you can tell by that play they made on the defense is that the confidence, it seems to be shot for the boys right now. They are just not, they're not coming out positive on pretty much any of the trades that they're going for here. They just end up giving doubles to the likes of Fig, to the likes of Zekin, and in those situations, they're not comfortable watching those sight lines when they have the spike down. They try to bank on the fact that they have the spike down in a wide open area, but what? I mean, what can you do? It's so tough, especially with the economy that Wichita Wolves have for themselves. Op is in play too. They get themselves 2 early picks in round 9. I feel like you're stuck if you're the boys. You don't know what to do.
That was certainly solid reading here from Wichita, because once the boys, they started, you know, initially on this map, they were favoring a short. It didn't work a bunch of times. Then they started going towards showers as well as B long. That stopped working. So the previous round, the past 2 or so, and even on this one, they're back to favoring A short again. And Wichita's just kind of, you know, roping them in, like, you know, sheepdogging them right now. They know exactly where they're going to be. And once they figured, okay, again, Du Bois are going to be A short, they allowed themselves to push in through showers. They allowed themselves to push in through Hookah. So that meant Wichita just put themselves in a situation where they could easily peek out. They knew exactly what Du Bois were going to be and get those early kills. And as I've been saying, once Du Bois lose their entry frags, whether just 1 or 2 players, they come to complete standstill. They're literally not moving. They're not trying to create any opportunity for themselves. And why would Wichita go and hunt for them? You know, the time's on their side. So, and this is looking rough for Du Bois. They got to come up with an opportunity. Or they got to come up with a strategy, really, for what happens when they lose their first player. What's the game plan? Because right now, it doesn't seem like they have one.
Not at all, or at least plans that are almost shallow in the sense that they completely depend on you having all 5 after an entry, which is, I mean, not realistic whatsoever, especially in light of how the Wichita Wolves are just dismantling them right now. Every single round, they get first blood. They end up getting a couple on the same people as well. Again, Zekin already breaking 10 kills. The rest of the team is definitely keeping up with him as well. It's just an unfortunate scenario for the boys. It's like you said, they need a plan. They need some kind of plan, and they need a backup plan. I'm talking A through J here at least, because I'm only seeing A to B.
And they're not even seeing much of A to B. They can barely make it on these sites. So
exactly.
We'll see Wichita. Now they're going to be once again playing the 2-3 from A to B. The spike's been left behind in market, and this is a bit favored towards B, but Panda is just all over it with the op. Finds the kill on Blue Bear into Hookah. Illum, though, catches Super Turbo, being a bit aggressive in Garden there. It's going to pay the ultimate price. It's now a 4-on-4 situation. Spike will now get picked up by the Omen. But still, Wichita have not faltered. They have not. They're just holding their ground at the moment. They haven't started moving players over from A because they know this is an opportunity here for Du Bois to start rotating because they've already made noise at B. But FYG shuts down Illum, and that is a huge loss here because I think at that point they might know the spike's not coming through B, and now they're going to start rotating towards A.
We have an aggressive push coming out from Zekin. It might have just been for the shock arrow. Keyser might see somebody. Doesn't realize that there's 2 in a U-Haul there. This double peek is going to be the death of him. It's looking like is already down. Keyser is just trying to walk this one out here. Spike is down as well. He's not going to be able to pick it up. He's the last one left here. Couldn't even get the op. He gets 1 kill, but really, what does it all mean? They are down 9-1 right now, Dak. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, this is a bit mismatched at the moment here, Beatdown. This is right now Wichita firing at all cylinders, and not even the ignition hasn't even been turned here for this Du Bois squad, and it comes down again. They're not able to really get onto a site without losing a body, and when they do, things really slow down. I like that they tried to go for that rotation, but I think it has to be a little quicker, especially with the team like Wichita. The Wichita knows that the chance of you rotating is there, so they're going to have that on their mind. You got to be quicker, throw the smokes down, and give yourself an opportunity to get onto a site without having to check every single angle that's possibly there. And I think a lot of the time they really just go very raw onto these sites without using utility, and they force themselves into these really hard gunfights that they can't consistently win.
Nowhere to run!
Hunter's Fury coming through from Zekin, trying to get a kill, maybe at least some info. Looks like it won't amount to too much, but Jangler's gonna pick up 2 very easy kills. Blue Bear's committing the Rolling Thunder. Their deploys are going. They have finally started the engine and have pushed on the accelerator. It's looking like they will get a plant off this.
Great shot.
Loom. Really nice shot on the Super Turbo. So now we're in a 3v3 scenario. I hope they know Jangler is coming up short, or at least that somebody is watching it. That's actually a really great pick from Blue Bear as well. So Second is going to fake the defuse. He's actually going to get the checkpoint here, which is going to be really big.
Oh, huge
pick on the Dragon. Oh my god, the teleport from I'm Skibowski wins them their second round.
Last round in the hash.
But man, that was good, Dak, but they need more. I want to be excited, but 9-2.
That was a well-executed round. I mean, it all started with a bit of utility from Kaiser, throwing some curveballs out. That baited out the Hunter's Fury from Zekin, who, I mean, once Zekin was waiting to hear anything, and the second he heard anything coming through A Shore was going to pop that ult, and they did. That's exactly what Du Bois wanted. Then they pushed them onto the site. Blue Bear got a bunch of kills using that Rolling Thunder, which they saved for after the ultimate pop from Wichita Wolves. That's a really well execute onto the site, and then they followed through. So it's great to see from the Du Bois squad. But yeah, is it a little too late? In this game, nothing's over till it's over. They are down 7 rounds, but it's a huge hill to climb. But rounds like that are what's going to get them back into this game.
I hope so, as this, especially being the last round and a half, is definitely one that they need in their back pockets before sides are swapping with a bit of a reset here. Oh,
they're both holding the same angle with ops.
That's toxic.
Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes that's just a wall you can't ever cross. And Jangler finds Kaiser in the meantime. 4-on-3 situation with the spike now moseying its way towards A site, which has been left open for Jangler to start hunting through showers, but who will they find? The cage is going to be blocking them off, as well as that smoke towards heaven. So there's really not much for them to look at, while the rest of their team is going to rotate through spawn, also joined by the Cypher. I'm Skibowski waiting for that push, and there's the run it back coming in from Super Turbo. They're going to push in through lamps. Oh, does see the Omen hang up there. He's in the same position they were in the last round. Not going to get hit by that twice. Jangler also finds House, and it's going to be stuck. Loom throws some shots in on Panda Tank. Oh, and then they line up for Loom. Jangler and FYG get knocked down to give Loom the 3K right there. And then Super Turbo looking for another one. And not only gets the fake, gets the kill, and gets the round. It almost slipped through their fingers with Loom getting a triple that probably shouldn't come their way. That was really more so on Wichita than anything. But they stay in it. They hang on with the help of Super Turbo, who started off the action with that run it back going in towards lamps. And now it's a 10-2 situation going into the second half beatdown. This is all, I mean, I would have to say this is all Wichita Wolves right here. Again, this is their map to lose for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. And can I just say real quick, I know you said pros never fake. That was a pretty nasty fake from Super Turbo.
It was.
Give him that one.
It was a nice bait. Sometimes, pros don't fake, but sometimes they should. And, I think in a high-intensity scramble moment like that, it's not the worst thing to do.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take that. Gotta give credit where credit is due. But like you said, all Wichita Wolves here all day, every day. Go to sleep wake up, and the boys are still getting rolled right now, and it's just an unfortunate scenario here. You said comebacks can happen. They definitely can. Valorant is a very momentum-based game, so if they can win this pistol round for the side of the boys, it is very possible that they can kind of snowball into more, but a very aggressive defense gives Panda tank first blood. Bloom, though, will get the trade.
Oh,
and actually
Bloom
gets out,
away.
which is big. Yeah, I thought he was done when I saw
Still
the
in
turbo.
Cubby, might be able to trade for another one. Oh,
That's pretty good, though. He does get super turbo.
oh,
Wait, well, they won.
nice.
Kaiser gets 3.
I was gonna say that was almost looking a bit rough there for Du Bois, as that push out through A short might have gotten pinched there, but the rest of the Wichita Wolves squad from Shower, that group that was, you know, the squad moving in from Shower, didn't get there in time, and Loom that was really clutch, getting the kill,
Yep.
drawing the rest of the Wichita Wolves squad towards Cubby in A short,
Living.
which set up Kaiser for a bunch of kills there. So I mean, that's what you got. That's what you love to see. That's just set up and
Yes.
execution. And Du Bois, they need any round they can get right now. And Bluebear gonna be looking. Oh, nice shot. Finds Paniting all the way down long. But you're gonna see that doesn't stop Wichita Wolves. They're gonna continue to push up. Pops the cage. Now they got a little more information of where everybody's at, but that does slow things down for just a moment. Another one from Bluebear. They drop the cage when Wichita's not expecting it, and they throw a shot in towards long, and it finds Pay Dirt. Another one hits its mark with 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. It's a 5-on-3 situation here for Du Bois.
And it's really interesting that Marshall normally doesn't one-shot unless you don't have armor and coming off a lost round like that. The Wichita Wolves don't have it, so that's actually a really clutch buy, and it's looking like they will be able to snowball another round in a row here, and I like that they are getting aggressive. They know they have the advantage, and they want to play it. And I am Skibowski. You got to win those, brother. Big, definitely getting a little more than he bargained for. Oh, are you kidding me? He's not going to 1v3, right? He can't. Okay, good.
Maybe not on 8 health. Maybe with a full tank of gas. For sure,
Yeah,
but on 8
different story.
HP, it's a different story. But FYG doing a little bit of a dent in this early round economy here against the boys, who, I mean, this is now where Wichita gets the buy. They have full armor, they have rifles, so this is where their actually opportunity is to start to contest against the boys in the second half. Those first 2 rounds were almost gimmies, I would say. And considering the gap between these 2 teams, they're almost inconsequential. What really matters now is this rifle round. And you can even see for Du Bois, despite winning those 2 rounds, they don't all have rifles. I'm pretty sure I'm Skibowski's on a sheriff, so that could actually be a bit of a weak spot here as Loom goes aggro into the smoke. I mean, that's going to be a huge cue for Wichita to push in here. They do get that first kill. They don't have to commit if they don't want to, but that owl drone's telling them that the entire team isn't here just yet. They haven't seen everybody, and of course the Cypher and the Breach haven't made it just yet as FYG finds Kizzer. Puts that Phoenix down. Now the spike is going to get planted. Super Turbo finds another one. A 5-on-2 situation before reinforcements can get there. And as they do, they get melted. It's now just Bluebear on the solo mish through A short and seeing what dent they can pull and put into this opposing squad. They do find FYG. That's a gun down. 1 rifle hits the dirt. But how much more can they get as Zicken goes in and finds that head. Bluebear goes down. Now it's 11-4 scoreline here for Wichita Wolves. And I mean, sure, Du Bois they've gotten a little more free, a little more independent with pushing out, but they've been punished every single time here for Wichita Wolves when they have done it. And now with that full rifle buy, Wichita does put some points on, at least 1 point on the board in the second half.
Still, I like that the boys are trying those over-aggressive defenses, even though that doesn't work out for Loom so late in the game. I like that they're at least attempting to make some cheeky plays, especially off a buy that they know is inferior to what Wichita Wolves had at the time. Doesn't work, but I like that they're trying. That bit of confidence is better late than never, if you ask me. And really interesting interaction there. But what matters is Super Turbo is going to commit to run it back. Doesn't get what he's looking for, but Big gets a really easy trade. And wow, I've got a nice kill in the background from the hot hands. Neural Theft is going to come out as well for Du Bois, but not a whole lot's really coming of it. It's going to allow them to get the spike down. However, there's still the potential for a retake here.
Not going to be worried about a pinch from behind, though. as we do have the Cypher moving through spawn. That's the last member of Du Bois joining the fray in the back. Here comes the run it back, pushed out from the defense. Panda Tank will trade off just beforehand though, nonetheless. And then Zekin with the lineup from the connector and spawn, putting a 3-to-1 situation, making it look easy. Zymsakabowski is up a river without a paddle at this point, just sitting in heaven without a way to get onto the site. Even if Zekin is low, even if that spike needs to get defused, there's no way it's happening. And that's going to be another round on the board for Wichita. And really on the defense, Du Bois, I mean, they wasn't the bloodiest of takes on the site, but you know, on the A site, all they had was the raise utility to hold off the offense. That's it. They didn't have, you know, the Omen really can't stop. He just has smokes. And you know, the Cypher wasn't over there. The Cypher was over at B. So there's super turbo. I'm sorry, the Phoenix can only do so much utility wise to stop the offense. So I think compositionally, it was a bit weak for Du Bois on the A site, and Wichita just pushed that immediately once they saw who was sitting on the site. Once they realized it was only the raise they had to worry about, only about the paint shells, they pushed in really hard, took the site, and held it.
And the interesting thing about that too is that on these compositions, when you run what Du Bois is running, you do expect a little bit more proactivity. Well, hold on a second. Really nice flash from Blue Bear. He's actually going to go for another one, and it is going to get him first blood. He gets traded on, and Jangler always manages to find that 2-for-1 special. I think he's probably using Honey there, but really good trade for Wichita Wolves, who are, again, just consistently in the driver's seat here on map point, by the way. It's 12-4 right now, and Du Bois have their back against the wall in every sense of the phrase.
And they almost wish they had their backs against the wall, though, literally on site, because they had given up all their angles up to Wichita, who are holding any kind of way that Du Bois could get up onto the site. Heaven is smoked out, so they won't even be able to take that angle to potentially push this Wichita squad out from the site itself. So, I mean, look at this. All 4 angles being held here by Wichita. Du Bois, they have 2 players to use, and wish they had more to spare here to re-enter on this site. Zekin finds one. Illum does trade, but that's, again, every single time. Wichita is always in a situation to trade, and you can see that how important that is. I mean, they definitively take that first map on Bind 13-4.
I gotta say, Dak, they make it look so easy here. And one thing I wish we saw a little bit more from Du Bois is a bit more of that, a little bit of flanks, a little bit of roaming here. You touched on it very briefly on one of those rounds where Wichita Wolves have an A-site plant. You have the Cypher moving across defender spawn to get onto that site. But why not flank around through mid and try to catch somebody from behind? Because that's something we see a lot of the better teams here, or at least the better performing teams here at the Valoramen Cup do. The likes of Last Round Save, the likes of Elevate, they are never afraid to send somebody on the roam, send somebody on the flank, because chances are you will find somebody with their back turned and end up picking up a pretty nice kill out of it. But Du Bois seemed like after those first couple of rounds, they were too scared to try anything. We saw a couple flashes of some cheeky gameplay that definitely takes some guts, but beyond that, most of the round was just them kind of lying over and taking it.
Yeah, I mean, which I think really what characterized that first map was Wichita's ability to condition Du Bois, especially when Wichita was playing on defense. They knew Du Bois would be playing that A short game a bunch. Once that didn't work, they start spreading out towards showers, towards B long. And when that didn't work, they could then rotate Du Bois back towards A short and punish them there. So Wichita was really covering all their bases on defense, was really strong. And that set them up for an easy win in the second half. But it's not over just yet. Du Bois still have an opportunity to push this to a map 3 because we have a map 2 to go to next. Can they get the victory on Haven? Don't go anywhere. We'll find out right after this break. welcome back, everybody. It is time for map number 2 here between Wichita Wolves and Du Bois. We are here in the lower bracket for not only getting ourselves a top 4 here in the playoffs, but also to start playing for money. Whichever team wins this series will be guaranteed at least that 4th place payout, if not more. So certainly a lot in the line, especially for Du Bois, who are currently down 0-1 against Wichita as we move into Haven. I am still Dak, here still alongside Beatdown. Beatdown, Du Bois are on defense. Any expectations coming into this one? Sorry, I had to steal it from you.
That's fine. You know what? You thought of it in the first place, so it's all yours. But expectations for Du Bois starting on defense. It's not. I think you want to start Haven off on defense anyway. So this is an opportunity for them to start things off on the right foot. If they can have a decent first half, I think they might be able to actually get themselves that kind of momentum and trajectory to take Haven. But see, there's another side to that coin. If they have an awful first half, I'm talking 4 rounds to 8, then it might just be chalked. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, 8-4 is not that's doable.
It isn't, but 8-4, then having to switch to offense on Haven is kind of like where I'm referring to. Because I think you have an easier time on defense. That might be a hot take.
You know, I feel like the style that we've been seeing from Wichita really plays into Haven because it just gives them that many more, a third more options
Yeah.
to really be aggressive and set the pace on the map, right? And this is the team that will lurk, a team that will split their team up and kind of get information that way, but are also confident on their own. So they have that ability to send players out and get control of the site or get information here and there and make themselves strong while still spread out across a map like Haven. So I think it really is up to Du Bois to not let Wichita play that game. Don't just let them take any site, maybe not force retakes. Maybe they just need to make sure the pushes never happen to begin with. But that's hard on Haven. We'll see, as we've seen in previous sets, that some of these teams are, likening to just hang out towards A and C and giving up B. We've also seen some more aggressive Cypher tripwires really pushed up far along A site, and then the defense holding B and C. So we'll see which way Du Bois decides to go on defense, as it's really now on Wichita Wolves to, are we going to see a lot of stacking, them being aggro? I think, again, with the strength of players like Zekin, for example, who can do a lot on their own, we're going to see a lot of spreading out, maybe a bit of defaulting. And then, when they feel like it, they're going to stack really hard and try and catch Du Bois off guard and keep them scrambling, keep them on their toes, because that's how you really convert into success is, creating chaos and finding success in chaos.
And speaking of chaos, we're actually going to have Wichita Wolves bring the Killjoy into the mix here instead of the Cypher, which is pretty interesting. Offers a very similar utility in terms of the traps and information you get from them, but actually it's not working out too well so far. Wichita Wolves lose someone, but then end up getting a trade for 2. So once again, the 2-for-1 special is coming through for this team, as now they get those kills. It's pistol round. They can just rush down to C here, but hopefully that paranoia is going to get Skibowski something.
Oh, and
or
just the density of the group for Wichita just makes it way too hard for Du Bois to hold on, as individuals on this pistol round. And I like the idea from Du Bois. They had 2 groups of 2 push out, one from mid, one from garage. I think that idea is good from mid. There's a little more room to work with, so it's a little harder on pistol round from window to cover that entire opening from B to get a bunch of kills. But to push out through garage doors, that's a lot narrower of a corridor, right? So it's a lot easier to hold that on either side with just pistols. So they came out pretty well towards mid, but out garage, both of their players got killed there. That obviously means Wichita's going to push towards C. They did. They had such an advantage that in a big group like that, it's hard on defense to hold it off with just pistols. So, yeah, it worked out for Wichita. Now they're going to be, again, pushing those buttons, continuing to be aggressive, and just using the density of that group to just send as many shots down at once as possible. Zek and Jangler and more getting on the board. 4-on-2 situation. 4-on-1 with the shock dart. And, yeah, these are 2 convincing rounds here with these pistols for the Wichita squad.
And already after 2 rounds, it is starting to seem like tough scenes for the boys here. They need to figure out something in these next couple of rounds. Luckily, they can finally contest with an equal buy here. We are going to see actually a better buy since we have ARs across the board, and the boys are sticking with their myriad of different kinds of guns here. But if they don't get something in this round, I am going to start getting really worried there, Jack. Wichita Wolves looking like they want to, for the most part, leave B open. So if that is the site of choice for Wichita, the boys are going to have to rely on their retake.
And Wichita's going to be going in through garage. Going to be following the Omen or the Owl drone. And Blue Bear gets caught looking. Zekin finds him. That opens up window and opens up the B connector, which they're going to take and force Illum to push up into B to try and catch someone off guard. And does find Jangler, but Jangler wins the fight despite getting their second. So this is just falling apart for the Du Bois squad. Wichita, by the time the spike goes down, there's already 3 players that have hit the floor. And now they have full control of B. They're going to fall away from B site and start to hold these connectors instead of sitting on the site. Now it's going to be even more difficult for the defense to get an angle on the spike itself. But they've got 2 bodies down, beat down. Now it's a 3-on-2 situation.
There they are.
It's a much better situation for them. Recon Bolt is going to reveal 1. But the boys still have the chance to make a play here, using some utility to just get themselves on the site. But they're going to have to do a little bit more. Time's running out. Zekin's on the flank. So we're going to need to see some proactivity here, but it's looking like they're just going to elect to back off. They don't know where anybody is. They're running out of time. They want to try to hold on to their guns. Unfortunately, Zekin says no keepsies, and so does the Panda Tank. So they try to back. They end up losing everything. So that's 3-0, and the boys have nothing to show for it.
And Wichita didn't even full buy that last round. Neither did the round before that. So economically, they have a lot of money to spare if they lose all the. Let's say they get wiped this next round, they can still do a bunch of buys and almost entirely full buy going into the next round. So, if not full buy, if they get a bit of gifts. So,
yeah,
I mean, right now for Wichita, they have, economically they can afford to lose around here. But now that they've started to get away with this, Du Bois, they got to somehow do this in a thrifty manner, and they're gonna do it right through the smoke. Great shot there with the Marshall. And I mean, but right now, that's not going to stop Wichita, though. They're going to keep pushing this and force the scenario and see, can they get the fight and get these kills before the reinforcements join?
The use of the utility, unfortunately, HPB gets caught out. Kaiser, another headshot with the Marshall. Really well played, but he does get taken out. It still is 3 versus 3. But now the cheekiness of the spot isn't working out so well. I say that, but Blue Bear also gets a trade. We're in this 2v2 scenario, and the spike actually hasn't gone down. It's sitting on the corner of the site. And I like this. The members of the boys are just hanging out. They're just trying to kind of hide and look for these. Oh, that's really bad. I think Super Turbo goes for the spike there. But in not doing so, Zekin is now going to have to 1 versus 2. He does end up picking up the spike, though.
Oh, he might have heard that. And I don't know what that jump was. Illum trying to get some information, trying to poke their eyes out to see. But again, not being able to trade off one another. 2-on-1 situation, now a 1-on-1 that didn't need to happen. And Zekin, who has proved time and time again that they can get the job done on their own, is now in a scenario to do just that. Skabowski already used their paranoia, and there goes a smoke to try and cover up A short. But now Zekin has the Hunter's Fury, gonna let that loose, gonna chew away some more time and get the kill to boot. Finds Skabowski and force them into the corner for the cleanup. That's now 4 unanswered rounds here, capped off by the Hunter's Fury from Zekin. But that was a scenario that really shouldn't have been lost by Du Bois. I like that Wichita, they went more aggro. Instead of playing for the spike, they went to go for kills because Du Bois was likely thinking the spike was going to be the priority. And then Du Bois weren't in a scenario to trade off one another. So that was a really great job by Wichita to work that back in their favor when it looked like the round was lost.
Still, it is interesting. I have to wonder what the Illum's play from jumping out the window was. A lot of players seem to be obsessed with the superhero landing off of heaven on A site, but someone's got to let them know that's really bad for your knees. It doesn't make any sense. You see the recon arrow, you know Zekin has to be nearby, so you got to be able to trade off each other. That's a fundamental flaw we've seen from the boys all series long, and it may just prove to be their downfall here.
Great bait here by Wichita. They make a bunch of noise towards long. They know Du Bois have started to transfer players over to C site and the left side of B. They do leave the Reyna in case the lurk comes out from C site, but now it's going to be Wichita. They didn't go for the rotation. They've gone back over towards C. They're trying to just mix things up, and now they're going to commit to the site. Oh, it's Super Turbo. Just gets timing there. Zekin does find Blue Bear, and now it's going to be another one from Zekin as they continue to force themselves on the site. I love that. The no mix-up. They make it look like they're going there. They make it look like they're turning away, and then they don't. They turn right back around, do a 360, and re-enter onto the site, while the boys are really just trying to figure out where exactly they're at because they didn't have much information to go off in the first place. So now Zekin waiting for a potential lurk towards Garage. Kaiser trying to go in, uses the run it back, but I mean, they already know that there's a ton of players on the site. They didn't learn anything there. Zekin then goes in through Garage. They forgot about the Sova lurking through Garage, and that's a 4K for Zekin as we go to 5 unanswered rounds now for Wichita. A 14-0 scoreboard there. And picking up for YG, who hasn't gotten on the board just yet, but at this point, the utility has paid off for way more than its cost, and this is looking great for Wichita.
Wichita that round playing 9,000 IQ underwater basket weaving with that play, faking then unfaking C site. At this point, if you're Wichita, you just don't. Sorry, if you're the boys, you don't know what's going on anymore. I feel like you are just rocked from all the plays that we're seeing from Wichita Wolves. And then even still, it's a matter of not sticking to really basic sort of strategies, like trading off of your teammates when you're trying to go for retakes here. So now the lockdown is going to come out onto A site. It's going to ensure a very easy plan from Wichita, and we're in the same scenario again. Dak, the boys have to retake, but they haven't retaken anything since this game started.
Yeah, and this was Wichita just really forcing their hand. They do a full stack onto A site. Once they know that Du Bois has recognized that, they send lurkers back out to look for anyone who's going to be going for the flank. And Zekin did find the flanker, got that kill, though wasn't continuing to watch it as Skowowski finds the Sheriff kill. But at this point, so much time has been eaten away that that kill might be inconsequential as Super Turbo finds 2. Another jump down gets punished from window, and Jangler and Super Turbo combine for the last 3 kills. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to really setting the pace here. Instead of going for default again or spraying their team out, they know, okay, now this is the time to go for a full stack because Du Bois has been sending out lurkers and they've been spread out defensively and they're not stacking. On Haven, especially of all maps, stacking I feel like has a little bit of extra strength because the defense, you know, unless they have the information already, needs a little more time to rotate, needs a little more confidence, and the lurks can be longer as well, especially if you're coming from Garage or C site. So, and that's just a Wichita forcing Du Bois to play their game, and Wichita knows how to play it right.
And that point right there is why decisiveness is so important, especially on a map like this, where the defense is so spread out. And that's something you've seen from Wichita Wolves all game long here. There you have it. They're ready to make the play. Although we actually see the Rolling Thunder come through from Du Bois. He's going to stifle the push just a little bit. Maybe.
This is just so much utility and ultimate bait right there. I mean, look how much that Du Bois spent just to stop nothing from happening. Nothing's even happened. No, Super Turbo.
No.
I mean, they've left their back pocket wide open, and there's a hole in it. A Super Turbo gets 2 easy kills from the lurk all the way through. I believe that was a Garage, and now Du Bois, Blue Bear just he really had to just go in there with no information. Does find 2, but FYG gets the cleanup. Does get on the board finally. Kaiser does get Super Turbo coming in through spawn. 2-on-2 situation here, but this is will the boys be able to trade off each other? This is the question. This is the key for them, as they've had this as a weakness for their retakes so far in this series. You see the recon arrow does come out on top, but it gets shot down.
Still hearing the shot. They have to know where the defense of Du Bois are. That's actually a really good wall. They might not even be able to get the wall bang. Are they just going to get this defused here? Because they're not going to... I don't think they're faking it. They get it off.
Yeah, that was well done. I mean, if the bomb's not facing towards long, that's you know that you're going to have a little more time to stick it. And what I say, pros don't fake, man.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but I mean, that right there, there's no even need to fake. I think just the spike plant worked in the defense's favor. I'm not sure why it was planted there. I'm assuming I actually don't know why it was planted there. I'm not sure if you have a better idea.
The interesting thing was, I feel like it was planted on the other side of those boxes, but just based on where the circle was, they ended up being able to defuse it from mostly cover, which I think is just a bit of an unfortunate interaction there from the side of Wichita Wolves. Probably not something you would normally account for here, but they're over it. New round, same Wichita Wolves. Jangler, first blood with that Empress, and is already just pretty much taking complete ownership over a site here. The boys have conceded, and the spike once again is going to go down. We're going to see when the smoke expires if House can do anything.
And Blue Bear just firing into the void, trying to make something happen through the fiery wall fire. And we have a huge lurk coming out from the Omen, but it might be a little delayed here because you can see Zekken's waiting for it and peeks out, swings first. Well done by Zekken, but now Zekken's gonna have to rejoin. Is up to a Loon who's trying to take out Jangler and does. 2-on-1 situation, and Zekken has to try and get in with very little to work with, and House does put him back down. Makes him take a seat with only 4 HP, and that spike should be defused just in time, and it is. There we go. All right, 2 rounds finally on the board here as we get towards the latter portion of the second half, or the latter portion of the first half, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, finding a little bit of some ways to get in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and it's interesting too. Zekken pushes out. He does get the kill onto Amskibolski by swinging out first, which is really good. But once you know Zekken's not on a site, who is, look at that, 18 kills. The second most is Super Turbo at 9. It's very clear Zekken is a big factor for Wichita Wolves. If he's not on the site, the boys have the confidence to push in, and it works out. And now that Zekken's out of the round here, this might also end up working out. But the likes of Jangler and Super Turbo aren't really interested in that outcome.
Yeah, and this is rough for Du Bois. They lost their breach and Omen early, so re-entering onto any site is going to be a huge, I mean, just an extremely tall task. Yeah, they have the Phoenix and the Raze, but the Raze has burned everything. I believe the Phoenix has still something to work with, but with just the Phoenix, it might not be enough to re-enter or to retake a site here very cleanly, especially with both players separated so far. I mean, it looks like they're just trying to get some kills here before they die. But that's not going to stop an actual plant from coming down. And this is once again a situation where I think this is an exception. I think obviously Du Bois know that they need to be trading off each other. I think in this scenario they were just trying to lurk and try to catch someone from Wichita off guard to try and take the rifles out of their hands, even though their economy is so good that it really won't matter. It's still that's really I would say a narrative coming through to this is their inability to retake a lot of these situations because they haven't been able to trade off each other, or they don't have the utility left to do so. Though Loom will find Super Turbo. Wow, Super Turbo. Jesus.
There you go.
Spike still being taken off there. Jeez.
And that's right now. Very wisely, Wichita Wolves playing their lives. Even if Loom got the kills, they wouldn't have had time to defuse at that point there. Really unfortunate for Kaiser in that scenario. I think he was lurking because he was 1 kill off getting that run it back, and he did end up getting it, but of course Wichita Wolves always there to trade with their teammates, end up taking Kaiser out. He has it this round, and as we're approaching the end of this half, we're gonna have to see some kind of value from it. Earlier on, we saw Blue Bear use that Rolling Thunder to stop a defense. It's like you said, Dak, that's some really good debate here from Wichita Wolves, but that's not how I want to see the boys use their utility, especially an ultimate like Rolling Thunder. You want to use that to retake sites because of how hard it is for you to be able to actually do anything about it if you're on site as the offense.
Jangler pops Empress and just walks right in onto the site unabated. Not going to find too much to fight against because the A site's been completely given up by Du Bois, who have decided to walk up through mid and go for the ultimate lurk with the remainder of their team going through. But no, Blue Bear's shoulder is peeking out through the wall, and Jangler finds not only Blue Bear, but a Loom. Panda Tank also gets on the board, and then Zekken cleans up as the sweeper. That is quite the lurk stack there. It's assumedly because there was pretty much an eco round for them there that they were trying to save up a little bit for this round so they can get some rifles in their hands, and they do for the full buy. They go for the lurk. It doesn't pay off, and it's hard to watch that shoulder peek out against the wall. Right, you hate to see it.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate scenario. You end up seeing them before they see you, and it's just free real estate at that point. Now we're in a really tough spot here. Like you said, boys, saved up for this round. This is the round where they got to make something happen here, because we are approaching the end of this half, and if they can't get it done, their economy will be in shambles. And that means this half is going to be chalked, and in my opinion, the whole game.
You see this Du Bois squad waiting for some kind of information, but it's gonna be Zekken is gonna be gathering some. A Boombot did go out towards B, and I think it got picked off by the Omen or the Killjoy. So there's a little bit of information there for the defense that, okay, they're lingering outside B, but really that they know, little do they know, there's a lot more bodies right inside and outside of Garage. And Blue Bear is waiting for it. Now here comes the Hunter's Fury, popped out by Zekken to get a wedge onto C site, and alongside Super Turbo, they get the kills rolling. And that's just, yeah, that's the lack of information for Du Bois. I mean, all they had was just the bomb buddy going off towards mid, but other than that, they really had very little idea of where this Wichita Wolves squad was at. Zekken finds yet another one as the spike keeps ticking down, and it's just the Cypher remaining here for Du Bois as they look for a way in. It's House who gets the kill onto Zekken, and Jangler then finally puts them down out of their misery, making it a 9-2 scoreline here, beat down. I mean, this is looking all for Wichita. Potentially a 2-10 scoreline here for Du Bois to work with going to the second half. If they play their cards right, they might be able to get that third round, but this is looking so rough here.
You can see the buys coming out from Du Bois. In the last round and a half, their economy is in complete shambles. There's not a whole lot they can do here. You're seeing some Bulldogs come out. Not everyone can even buy armor, or at least not everyone can buy heavy armor, excuse me. And it's tough scenes without a doubt for Du Bois. They are gonna have to do something a little cheeky if they want to be able to sneak this round. And at this point, they will take any round that they can get, being down 7 and having 6 or 7 unanswered rounds, if I'm recalling correctly here. So now it's looking like yet another A plant for free. Du Bois haven't been able to retake before. They're gonna have another opportunity to try again.
Off your feet!
Here comes the Rolling Thunder, popped out here from the defense, and now they're going to execute onto the site, going for a retake against, you know, a plant that has been largely backed off from by Wichita. They let the ults get popped, and then they just sit back and let the kills come to them, not fishing whatsoever. And that's just very well done there by the Wichita squad. They knew that everything, I mean, that's the last round. That's the round that everyone's burning whatever they have left. So of course those ultimates are going to get popped. But again, I really think compositionally, just the low amount of information gathering for Du Bois, not having that Sova is really hurting them. They're not sure where Wichita is going to be before they strike, and that's working in Wichita's favor time and time again, as now Wichita is only a couple rounds away from being at match point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Your only opportunity really to get any information is going to be that Cypher, but the information gathering is a lot more static, not as versatile as the likes of the Recon Arrow, even the Shock Dart and the Hunter's Fury. Like, there's a lot of ways that a Sova can get you a lot of information, and not having that has been very detrimental to the boys. Because, like you said, it feels like they're in the dark all of the time in these scenarios. That's not
rough.
a way to go.
That's not the team that we've been seeing most of the time. That's just an unlucky timing. It happens to the best of us. Even for teams that are dominating, they sometimes get caught out by the bomb buddy and get killed. So but it's really not too much for that team to work with. I mean, Du Bois, even just with those 2 kills, are still making some kind of execute happen. They really haven't actually committed to anything, and the time it's taking for them to make the rotate, they have to know, Wichita has to know that's not coming to A site. But they have the Raze still lingering. If the Raze just peeks out and sees that no one's on A site from the defense, Du Bois can rotate back, and it looks like they are starting to do that, going back towards A long to bring the spike. And it looks like Wichita has been played. The bait was taken, they took the bait, and they moved over to C, and now they realize that they've been won over. They're rushing back over to A as the spike's about to be planted.
And the boys dabbling a little bit
30
in some of that
seconds left.
underwater basket weaving.
Spike
And
planted.
Blue Bear catching Zekin on rotation is actually some really smart positioning on his behalf here. And Tank's also going to try and contest him. That's going to give a second one to Blue Bear, though. So this is a much better round for the boys here. Fig getting a few more kills than maybe he should, but the boys do end up winning it out in the end.
You know, a lot of the time, I think pistol rounds can very much be coin tosses. So you can see some really well executed plays on pistol rounds. I think a lot of the time it's not indicative of how the rest of the map is certainly going to go. So it is a nice round to have for the boys, but it's really, can they make headway after this round where, you know, obviously Wichita is going to be running pistols again for this one. So it's when Wichita can full rifle buy is when they really need to keep their eyes up and heads on a swivel, but we'll see. On defense, Wichita is fully spread out. They don't have a Cypher. They have a Killjoy this time, so there's not going to be any tripwire for them to place up A long. You have Kaiser moving out with the curve ball. That's not going to find Pater. No one's lingering out there just yet, and they're going to rejoin the push over towards C long, which it's only going to be Jangler that's going to be able to watch this and be the first line of defense here, though. Now, you can see that Phoenix moving over. Zekin and Super Turbo, though, get on first. Super Turbo did rush over and finds the kill with the Frenzy. Now, a minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. 4-on-3 situation here for the defense. They start to rotate back over towards C site, but Blue Bear's going to be hanging in this corner. It's going to be a hard corner to check. The smoke does clear, so now they have to rely on Kaiser as well to hopefully try off them and play off that corner push. Now they're going to peek out. I'm Skabowski gets one. Blue Bear as well on the board. I'm Skabowski put down to 4 HP and then killed. But it's Kaiser comes out on top, holding that harsh 90-degree angle coming from the garage to get the full cleanup. And that's 2 rounds now for the boys in this half, but here comes the real test.
That's right. It's still good, though, that the boys win out that pistol round because it is usually quite possible to convert it into 2 straight. Something the boys could very well use, but here is where it really counts. We're actually not even seeing full AR buys from them, so technically Wichita Wolves have a bit of a better buy here, but this is where it really counts. Wichita Wolves just end up showing us what they have been the whole time. The boys might be dead in the water, but Super Turbo and Jangler showing us that might end up being what plays out here.
Yeah, using your 2 entry fraggers on defense to get those first peaks and get a couple kills. I mean, that's high utility and high values can really get out of those characters besides winning the round outright. So great play there to send those Wichita players out and get some early kills and again set the pace, because now, as we saw in the previous map, when Du Bois loses their first 1 or 2 players on a push, they come to a standstill. The factory stops. Nothing's moving. And now finally they're getting things going, but all that time spent lingering outside window gave Super Turbo more than enough time to get the lurk going. FYG also collabs with them towards the end. Now it's an 11-4 scoreline. The test a little shaky there for this Du Bois squad as they were unable to hold off Wichita once Wichita had rifles in their fingers.
It feels like the boys didn't end up studying for that test and have failed here. We're going to have to see if they can do some bonus assignments for some extra marks, but it's looking like their grades are just chalked now at this point. The boys down 4-11. That is 7 rounds. They're going to have to win to even out the score here. And the way things have been going,
Joke's over.
don't think Wichita Wolves are going to let that one happen, especially if you look at the buy that the boys have.
I was going to say, yeah, the boys are not buying here, so they're pretty much, you know, assuming that this round's a wash. If they can walk away with a bunch of kills, that's the most they can ask for here. But Zekin and Panatank are saying no. The Zekin cam absolutely crazy, and that's just so many kills coming from Zekin, looking for that 30K in this game. But yeah, that was a round that certainly Du Bois, and they needed to give that away. They didn't have the money to buy, so now they have enough for one last stand here. And it's going to be such a huge order. Even if they win this, there's a lot of money on the Wichita side. And again, they have to win a crazy amount of unanswered rounds here. 8 in a row just to force overtime. So this is looking like it's Wichita's map here and their series. Looks like they will be moving into at least the top 4 unless Du Bois has something to say.
What they do is going to have to be very, very loud. But Jangler is louder as he already gets first blood in what could easily be the final round here. Du Bois off to Quite a cold start. As Kaiser is going to commit the running back, doesn't realize Jangler's around the corner, and is going to bite them later on here. Zekin, oh my god, this dude just so very consistent. That's 2 for the round. He finally gets taken out. But Kaiser, one man versus the world, is going to bait the plant, but he doesn't know someone is there. Oh my god, he lands the shot anyway, but 30 HP. And he gets done. Oh my god, hold on, Dak. Is this happening?
We do Zekin had fallen, but will Super Turbo be able to win neutral here? And now just in this final moment, Super Turbo is going to move over towards heaven to try and get the high ground and get an angle off the plant, and does just like that. Wichita Wolves will be taking the map and the series 2-0. I think they need a little bit of redemption after that loss to last round save in winner's bracket, and they did get it. They did earn themselves a top 4 spot and keep themselves alive here in the playoff bracket.
Right, Wichita Wolves have earned themselves a nice little bit of cash, and of course the opportunity to earn that much more as they move on to the loser semis. Congrats to them, and the boys, they fought valiantly, but unfortunately they just didn't have it in them.
Yeah, again, this is where, you know, the cream rises to the top. There's no more room for error here at in this portion of the playoff bracket, especially in the lower bracket where it's do or die, and also playing for money. Certainly Wichita Wolves stepped up to the plate and delivered. They did pretty well against their teams in round robin. Had a little bit of a hiccup, a little bit of a roadblock, a little bit of an obstacle, a speed bump, if you will, against last round save. But here they found their rhythm. They kept themselves alive in lower bracket, and they have an opportunity to potentially get a rematch that I'm certain they want to have against last round save if they can make it that far in the bracket. At the very least, they've kept their hopes alive. Beatdown, any final comments?
I am interested that in that rematch that you just mentioned, but funny enough, they have another rematch to get through before that actually happens, because Wichita Wolves have also fallen to Elevate, who we just saw earlier on the night actually lost to last round save and got sent to the losers bracket. So that's another rematch. Wichita Wolves, another hill they're going to have to climb, but that would be quite the storied redemption if they can actually win their back-to-back grudge matches and actually make it to that #1 spot. I really can't wait to see how it plays out.
And we will be finding out tomorrow in our day 3 of the Valoramen Cup #1, because I believe we will be starting the day off with Wichita Wolves taking on the winner of RBG versus Attack Mode, which we will definitely be hearing the results for soon, though likely after the broadcast. But the winner of that set will be starting off with our loser semi bracket matchup against Wichita Wolves, who just earned that slot with this 2-0 victory here. So congrats to Wichita Wolves. Fair play to Du Bois, but we'll be seeing more of these teams, at least Wichita and then some, tomorrow for our final day of the competition. Thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for the last 3 sets of the weekend. Thank you all for tuning in. I've been Dak, here with Beatdown and Nye as well, and of course Dor and Pausable on the previous set. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.